I'm going to hit some of the requirements pretty quickly. We talked again about coming up with your own purpose. A couple of things that I want you to think about is one, you need a solid identifiable point that is targeted at your audience. It does not have to answer your original question. It is perfectly okay for you to use that initial question as a springboard. It represents the whole conversation, but again, you're taking a place at the table. So it's okay to make your essay contribute to the conversation based on anything from your research. You do have to base it off of your research in this conversation, but it doesn't have to be a direct answer to your question. It must be an academic argument. You must make debatable claims and draw conclusions using your evidence. It cannot be an objective report. Like, well, I just wanted to be objective, lay it all out, and let the audience decide. That doesn't really take a lot of communication skill or rhetorical choice, or a lot of synthesis of sources. It takes a lot less work. And it's an old habit to fall into, because writing a really good argument is hard. And so just be careful that you're not falling back into, I guess, a habit. Because I know we talked, a lot of people, I guess, are trained to think about objectivity and writing essays a certain way, but it should not be a report, or I just wanted to put the facts out there and let everybody decide. It should be you being heard. Here's how I see the evidence. You need to have evidence, have sources, make logical conclusions, but the conclusion should still be there. The goal is not necessarily to persuade your audience directly. You're trying to clearly communicate how you interpret the research. So we're not winning at all costs. You're not just trying to argue to get your audience to believe you or agree with you. You just want to be heard and understood. So it kind of takes some of the pressure off and lets you see kind of where that balance is. You don't necessarily have to persuade them. You just want to communicate clearly what you're thinking. So you do have some limitations in the sense that it does need to be digital. But the word essay is open to interpretation. Like writing an essay for online can look like an essay. It can look like a web page. Like you've seen some of the examples. Like there's a lot of different ways you can do this. It does need to be at least 2,000 words. That does include your necessary captions and headings and things like that. It does not include your works cited or your references section. You need, if you remember the scholarly articles, how they have an introduction and they have sections in between the introduction and the conclusion. You're going to have some kind of introduction, some kind of conclusion, and in between those, you're going to have 3 visually distinguishable body sections with headings. You can look at all of the examples and see that they do this. And one of the reasons is that we are writing a longer essay, so we are practicing organization and also paying attention to not just paragraphs, but different parts of an essay, with those parts almost being like mini essays. If you're writing a print essay, if you were turning your digital essay into a print essay and you pulled those headings out, you would still kind of be able to see how things are organized. And it's a really solid way to practice organization and practice longer essays, is having those clear targeted labels for different parts of the essay and knowing what those sections are supposed to be doing and what they're supposed to be about. They should be arranged with some kind of a solid purpose. You are going to focus on different parts of your argument. So your solution, maybe refuting a point, maybe background. You're going to synthesize multiple sources within each section. So a couple of things you want to avoid are making your sections about different individual sources. One, that ends up being more reporty. It doesn't really pull evidence together to draw any conclusions, and it just ends up reading like your annotated bibliography all over again. Rather than having it be about a source and making commentary on that source, you want to make a point. Here is, my solution. Here are several sources that support this solution. So that's how we want to kind of think about it. You do have some design requirements. Remember I said it had to be digital. We're going to be using those digital tools and affordances. So images are great to illustrate ideas. They can be used to design and set an appropriate tone. They can be used to reflect points you're making. You can use videos for the same purpose. You can hyperlink to sources and other readings. You can use infographics, and then we'll go over some design choices later, but you want to be pulling from those things. And I don't have a number to give you about you have to have this many images, or you have to have this many videos, or you have to have this balance. Like sometimes people don't have videos that are appropriate for their issue, but they have lots of graphs and they have images, and they make appropriate design choices. Like it's open for you to make your own kind of choices about that and be able to talk about and explain those choices. And then this is the end of this video, and then you're going to hop into the next one to do some brainstorming to get ready for work in session 2. Peace.